5 GMC engines exposed by lawsuits, destroyed by recalls, and bleeding owners dry with five-figure repair bills. Smart buyers run from these. Dumb buyers sign the paperwork. Here's the list. Engine number 1. Vortec 3500 3.5 liters of 5. Let's start with an engine that most people have completely forgotten about. And honestly, that's probably for the best, because this thing was a disaster from the moment it rolled off the assembly line. The Vortec 3500 was GM's inline 5-cylinder engine. If that sounds unusual, it's because it is. 5-cylinder engines are rare in the automotive world. They're harder to balance than a 4-cylinder and don't have the smoothness of a 6-cylinder. GM thought they could split the difference. Give buyers more power than a 4-cylinder with better fuel economy than a V6. You'll find this engine in the 2004 to 2006 GMC Canyon and the GMC Envoy from the same years. GM marketed it as the smart choice for buyers who wanted capability without the fuel costs of a larger engine. What they didn't tell you was that this engine had fundamental design flaws that would cost owners thousands of dollars. The first major problem was the fuel injectors. The Vortec 3500 used a unique injector design that was prone to failure. These weren't gradual failures where you'd notice decreasing performance over time. These were sudden failures that would cause rough, idle, severe misfires and check engine lights that wouldn't go away no matter what you did. Owners reported injector failures as early as 40,000 miles. Some went through 2 or 3 sets of injectors before giving up on the truck entirely. Replacing all 5 injectors costs $800 to $1,200 in parts and labor. Do that twice, and you've spent more on injectors than the truck is worth. But the injector problems were just the appetizer. The main course was the crankshaft position sensor bolt. GM engineers made an inexplicable decision with this engine. They used a bolt that was too short to properly secure the crankshaft position sensor. Under normal driving conditions, engine vibration would slowly loosen this bolt. The sensor would shift out of position, and suddenly your engine is misfiring, running rough, stalling at idle, or refusing to start altogether. Some owners got lucky. They caught the problem early, replaced the bolt with a longer one, and moved on with their lives. Others weren't so fortunate. The loose bolt would back out completely, fall into the timing cover, and cause catastrophic damage. I've talked to owners who had to replace the entire engine because of a $2 bolt that GM should have gotten right from the factory. Then, there were the timing chain problems. The Vortec 3500 used a timing chain that stretched prematurely, sometimes as early as 80,000 miles. When a timing chain stretches, it throws off the valve timing. Your engine loses power, runs rough, and eventually suffers valve damage if you keep driving it. A timing chain replacement on this engine costs $1,500 to $2,500. On a truck that's worth maybe $4,000, that math doesn't work. GM knew this engine was a failure. They produced it for exactly 3 model years, and then quietly killed it. No updated version, no replacement. They just pretended it never existed and hoped everyone would forget. If you're shopping for a mid-2000s Canyon or Envoy, check the engine carefully. The 2.8-liter 4-cylinder is underpowered but reliable. The 4.2-liter inline 6 is actually a solid engine that can go 200,000 miles without major issues. But the 3.5-liter 5-cylinder? That's an engine that will nickel and dime you to death until you finally give up and send it to the junkyard. These trucks are cheap on the used market for a reason. Don't let a low price tag fool you into buying someone else's problem. Engine number 2. 2.7-liter Turbomax. L3B. 2019 to 2021. Now let's jump forward about 15 years to an engine that's much more relevant to today's buyers. The 2.7-liter Turbomax was GM's answer to Ford's incredibly successful EcoBoost engines. The concept was simple. Take a small displacement 4-cylinder, add a turbocharger, and deliver V6 power with 4-cylinder fuel economy. Ford had been doing this for years with great success, and GM wanted a piece of that market. On paper, the Turbomax looked impressive. 310 horsepower and 348 pound-feet of torque from a 2.7-liter 4-cylinder. Those are numbers that would have required a V8 just a decade earlier. And the fuel economy was genuinely good, Many owners reported mid-20s in mixed driving, which is excellent for a full-size truck. But the 2019 to 2021 model years had serious problems that GM has never fully acknowledged. The most significant issue was the high-pressure fuel pump. In a direct injection engine like the Turbo Max, the HPFP is absolutely critical. It pressurizes fuel to over 2,000 psi, that's not a typo, 2,000 pounds per square inch, for injection directly into the combustion chamber. When this pump fails, your engine doesn't run. Owners of early Turbo Max trucks reported HPFP failures at shockingly low mileage, 30,000 miles, 40,000 miles, some even lower. The failures often happened without warning. Owners would be driving down the highway and the truck would simply die. No sputtering, no warning lights, just sudden loss of power. Replacing the high-pressure fuel pump costs $1,500 to $2,200. That's a significant repair bill on a truck that might still be under warranty, and a devastating one if it's not. But the fuel pump wasn't the only problem with early Turbo Max engines. Like all gasoline direct injection engines, the Turbo Max is susceptible to carbon buildup on the intake valves. In a traditional port injection engine, fuel sprays onto the intake valves with every combustion cycle. That fuel acts as a cleaning agent, washing away carbon deposits before they can accumulate. Direct injection engines don't have that benefit. Fuel goes straight into the combustion chamber, bypassing the intake valves entirely. Over time, carbon deposits build up on the valve stems and heads. By 60,000 to 80,000 miles, these deposits can become severe enough to cause rough idle, hesitation during acceleration, misfires, and reduced fuel economy. The only way to remove these deposits is through walnut blasting or chemical cleaning, a service that costs $500 to $800, and it's not a permanent fix. You'll need to do it again every 50,000 to 70,000 miles for the life of the engine. The turbocharger itself also had issues in early production. Owners reported boost leaks from poorly sealed connections, wastegate actuator failures that caused overboost or underboost conditions, and premature turbo bearing wear that led to oil consumption and eventually complete turbo failure. A turbocharger replacement on the 2.7-liter Turbo Max runs $2,000 to $3,000. Add that to potential HPFP failures and carbon cleaning, and you're looking at an engine that could cost you $5,000 or more in repairs before it hits 100,000 miles. Now, I want to be fair here. GM made significant improvements to the Turbo Max starting in 2022. The fuel pump issues have been largely resolved. The turbo reliability has improved. The 2022 and newer versions are genuinely decent engines that I wouldn't hesitate to recommend. But the 2019 to 2021 versions, those are the ones you need to avoid. If you're shopping for a used Sierra or Canyon with the 2.7-liter, check the model year carefully. That 3-year window represents the growing pains of a new engine design, and owners paid the price for GM's learning curve. Quick thing, if this is saving you from an expensive mistake, hit subscribe. I put out videos every week showing GMC owners which engines to buy, which to avoid, and how to keep their trucks running for 300,000 miles or more. Engine number 3, 3.0-liter Duramax Diesel LM2. This next one genuinely hurts to put on this list because I really wanted to love this engine. The 3.0-liter Duramax represented something exciting, a return of diesel power to the half-ton truck market. For years, if you wanted a diesel GMC, you had to step up to a heavy-duty truck. The 3.0-liter Duramax changed that, offering diesel torque and fuel economy in a Sierra 1500 package. And in many ways, the engine delivered on its promises. It's smooth, smoother than any diesel truck engine I've ever driven. It's quiet. You can barely tell it's a diesel at idle. And the fuel economy is genuinely impressive. Some owners report 30 miles per gallon on the highway. For a full-size truck, that's remarkable. But the problems have been relentless, and they've turned what should have been a game-changing engine into a reliability nightmare. Let's start with the diesel emission system, because that's where most of the pain has been concentrated. Modern diesel engines are required to meet strict emission standards. The 3.0-liter Duramax accomplishes this through a complex system that includes a diesel particulate filter, selective catalytic reduction, DEF injection, and an array of sensors monitoring everything. When this system works properly, it's invisible. You never think about it. When it fails, it's catastrophic for your wallet. Owners have reported widespread DEF system failures. The DEF tank develops leaks. The DEF injector clogs or fails. The DEF quality sensor gives false readings. The SCR catalyst loses efficiency. Any one of these failures triggers a warning message and eventually puts the truck into reduced power mode, limiting you to speeds that make highway driving impossible. Fixing DEF system problems isn't cheap. A complete DEF tank replacement runs $1,200 to $1,800. The DEF injector is another $400 to $600. The SCR catalyst can cost $2,000 or more. I've talked to owners who've spent $4,000 to $6,000 on emission system repairs, some of them multiple times. The high-pressure fuel pump has also been problematic. The 3.0-liter Duramax uses a different pump design than the proven CP3 in the 6.6-liter Duramax. This pump has shown higher failure rates, and when a diesel fuel pump fails, it often doesn't fail gracefully. A failing HPFP can send metal shavings throughout your entire fuel system. Those shavings contaminate your fuel rails, your fuel lines, and most critically, your injectors. When that happens, you're not just replacing a pump. You're replacing the pump, all 6 injectors, both fuel rails, and all the connecting lines. Total cost, $8,000 to $12,000. Then there's the cold start issue that's plagued this engine since launch. Many owners report extended cranking times in cold weather, sometimes 10 seconds or more before the engine fires. Some trucks won't start at all when temperatures drop below freezing. GM has issued multiple technical service bulletins addressing this issue, but many owners report the problem persists even after the recommended fixes. The timing chain has also shown premature wear in some engines. A timing chain replacement on the 3.0-liter Duramax is a major undertaking. The entire front of the engine has to come apart. Labor alone runs $2,000 to $3,000, plus parts. Here's my honest assessment. The 3.0-liter Duramax is a technologically impressive engine that was released before it was ready. GM was so eager to compete with Ford's Power Stroke and Ram's EcoDiesel that they rushed this engine to market without fully validating its reliability. If you want a diesel GMC, my recommendation is simple. Get the 6.6-liter Duramax in a heavy-duty truck. Yes, it's more truck than some people need. Yes, it costs more. But that engine has been proven over 2 decades with millions of miles of real-world validation. The 3.0-liter is still working out its issues, and owners are paying the price for GM's beta testing. Engine number 4, 5.3 liters V8 with AFM, 2014 to 2021. Now we're getting into the engines that have caused the most widespread damage to GMC owners' wallets and trust. The 5.3-liter V8 is arguably the most important engine in GM's lineup. It's been the default choice in Sierra and Yukon for over 2 decades. Millions of these engines are on the road right now, and when the 5.3-liter is working properly, it's genuinely excellent. Smooth, powerful, fuel-efficient for its size, and capable of 300,000 miles or more with basic maintenance. But GM made a decision with the 2014 redesign that has made active fuel management standard equipment. AFM, also called Dynamic Fuel Management in newer versions, is GM's cylinder deactivation system. The concept is simple. Under light load conditions, the engine shuts down 4 of its 8 cylinders to save fuel. When you need full power, all 8 cylinders come back online instantly. The concept is sound. The execution has been a disaster. The AFM system relies on special lifters that can collapse on command to deactivate their cylinders. These aren't simple mechanical components. They're complex hydraulic devices with internal locking mechanisms, and they cycle constantly during normal driving. Every time you're cruising at highway speed, those lifters are activating and deactivating. Every time you slow down for traffic, they're cycling again. Thousands of times per tank of gas, millions of times over the life of the engine. The problem is that these lifters wear out. The internal components fatigue. The locking mechanisms fail. And when an AFM lifter fails, it doesn't just stop working. It collapses completely and starts grinding against the camshaft. The first sign of trouble is usually a ticking noise from the engine. Owners call it the Chevy tick or GMC tick. And it's become so common that many people assume it's just how these engines sound. It's not. That tick is the sound of a collapsed lifter destroying your camshaft lobe. Most owners ignore the tick because the truck still runs fine. It still makes power. It still gets decent fuel economy. They figure they'll deal with it eventually. By the time eventually arrives, the damage has spread. The collapsed lifter has worn a flat spot on the camshaft. Metal shavings have circulated through the oil system. Other lifters are starting to fail. What could have been a $2,000 repair has become a $5,000 repair. Or worse, the full repair requires removing the intake manifold, removing the cylinder heads, extracting the camshaft, and replacing all 16 lifters along with the damaged cam. At an independent shop, you're looking at $3,500 to $5,000. At a dealer, $6,000 to $8,000. I've seen quotes over $10,000 on trucks where the damage was extensive. GM has faced multiple class action lawsuits over AFM failures. They've issued technical service bulletins. They've quietly extended warranties for some owners who complained loudly enough. But they've never issued a recall, and they've never publicly acknowledged the scope of the problem. The worst part? Even after you spend $5,000 fixing the problem, the AFM system is still there. The replacement lifters are the same design. The same failure can happen again. Many owners who've been through one AFM failure immediately install a delete kit to disable the system permanently, something they should have done from the beginning. If you're shopping for a 2014 to 2021 Sierra or Yukon with the 5.3 liter, you need to approach it carefully. Listen for any ticking noise from the engine. Check service records for lifter replacements. Ask if AFM has been disabled. The best scenario is finding a truck where the previous owner already dealt with the problem, either by replacing the lifters with non-AFM components or by installing a delete tune. Those trucks are actually great buys because the ticking time bomb has been diffused. A stock 5.3 liters with AFM still enabled? That's Russian roulette with your wallet. Engine number 5, 6.2, LV8L 87, 2019 to 2024. This is the engine I warned you about at the beginning, the one that's fooling the most buyers right now, the one that looks modern, sounds refined, and is a nightmare waiting to happen. The 6.2-liter V8 is GM's flagship gas engine. It's the upgrade option in the Sierra 1500, the standard engine in the Yukon Denali, and the heart of the AT4X and other performance-oriented trims. 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. It's the engine you choose when you want the best GM has to offer, and right now, it's the engine you should avoid at all costs. In April 2025, GM issued one of the largest engine-related recalls in recent memory. Over 720,000 vehicles were affected: Sierras, Yukons, Tahoes, Suburbans, Escalades, and their Chevrolet counterparts. The problem? Connecting rod-bearing failures that can cause catastrophic engine destruction. Let me explain exactly what that means, because this isn't a minor issue. The connecting rods are the link between your pistons and your crankshaft. Every time a cylinder fires, the connecting rod transfers that explosive force into rotational energy. We're talking about thousands of pounds of force, thousands of times per minute, for hundreds of thousands of miles. The connecting rod bearings are what make this possible. They're precision machined surfaces that allow the rod to spin on the crankshaft journal with minimal friction. These bearings are designed to last the life of the engine. In the 6.2-liter L87, they're not lasting. The root cause appears to be a manufacturing defect, possibly contamination in the bearing material, possibly improper machining tolerances, possibly something else entirely. GM hasn't been fully transparent about the cause. What we know is that these bearings are failing at an unacceptable rate. When a connecting rod bearing fails, the rod starts moving in ways it was never designed to move. You might hear a knocking noise, a deep, rhythmic thud that gets louder with engine speed. If you're lucky, you hear that noise and shut the engine off immediately. If you're not lucky, and many owners haven't been. The bearing fails completely. The connecting rod seizes on the crankshaft, then breaks free. A broken connecting rod inside a running engine is like a grenade going off. It punches through the side of the block, destroys everything in its path, and turns your 600 horsepower engine into a very expensive boat anchor. That's not a repair. That's a complete engine replacement. $8,000 to $15,000, depending on whether you go with a remanufactured engine or a new one from GM. The recall covers inspection and repair for affected vehicles. But here's what concerns me. Not every truck has been serviced yet. The recall was issued less than a year ago, and there are hundreds of thousands of affected vehicles on the road. Many owners don't even know their truck is included, and even trucks that have been inspected aren't necessarily safe. The defect is difficult to detect without tearing the engine apart. GM's inspection procedure may catch some failing bearings, but it can't catch all of them. The 6.2-liter also has the same AFM system as the 5.3-liter, which means it's susceptible to the same lifter failures I just described. So you're dealing with two potential catastrophic failure modes in one engine: connecting rod bearings that can grenade your block and AFM lifters that can destroy your camshaft. The used market has already reacted. Trade-in values for 2019 to 2024 trucks with the 6.2-liter have dropped significantly. Dealers are offering thousands less than they were a year ago because they understand the liability. Private buyers who do their research are walking away. If you currently own one of these trucks, check your VIN immediately. Go to GM's recall website or call your dealer. If your truck is affected, get it serviced now. Don't wait for a convenient time. Don't assume it won't happen to you. If you're shopping for a 6.2-liter truck, my honest recommendation is to wait. Wait until GM fully resolves the issue. Wait until there's enough real-world data to know whether the recall fix actually works. Wait until buyer confidence returns and you're not gambling with your money. The 6.2-liter might turn out to be fine after the recall repairs, or it might turn out to be a lemon that haunts GM for years. Right now, nobody knows for certain, and that uncertainty isn't worth the risk on a $50,000 to $80,000 truck. Those are the 5 GMC engines that only uninformed buyers purchase, not because they're bad on paper, but because the real-world failure rates and repair costs make them financial disasters waiting to happen. Do your research before you buy. Check recall databases. Read owner forums. Get a pre-purchase inspection from someone who knows these specific engines. And if a deal seems too good to be true, ask yourself why someone is really selling that truck. If you want to know which GMC trucks are losing value fastest right now, check out my video on the GMCs that will be worthless in 2026. And if you want to learn how to make your GMC last, watch my video on the 15 proven habits that'll get you to 500,000 miles. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.